Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisco Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Civilization Eras and Allies, I want to share with you how it is you relocate your city, where it is you might want to relocate your city to, and when or why you would want to go and do that. And you can trust my guidance on this because if we get a look on the leaderboard and we get a look at my rankings here, you can see that for growth, I'm currently 13th for production, which ain't bad. And it's in part because of my very smart relocation to specific places. So we're going to break this all down. And if you're subscribed to my channel, you know that I frequently include timestamps. So you can jump to whichever part you'd like. And right now I'm playing on server 2. This is the regional launch of the game in Asia Pacific. So we're getting in early, baby. So you can still pre-register for a bunch of really awesome rewards. Use my link down below in the description to go and do that. Also, you can use a VPN to start playing right now, or if you're in Asia Pacific, you can play right now. So use the link in the description to either pre-register or download. All right. So relocation. First and foremost, it is gated by a couple things. First of all, there's your chapter progression. Second of all, there's also your server's progression. So if we get a look at the milestones, I can show you that it is the 4th milestone, secure the strongholds, at least in your first season of the game, that will unlock relocation, the ability to move your capital or subcity to a specified location via construction, relocate city. All right. So there's several conditions that need to be met. In addition, being in alliance can potentially unlock this as well. We'll talk about that more later. But big picture, you're going to find a tile that you go and capture. You're going to tap on that tile, okay? And you're going to hit build, and you can hit relocate city. And like, big picture, this is how you relocate. But like, there's so much more to this because you can't just relocate anywhere. So let's take a big step back and let's talk about this, okay? The first major restriction we need to talk about with regard to where you could relocate to is that your alliance needs to own the region that you are trying to relocate to, okay? So you can see that these regions are all colored for our alliance in red here. That is because we control the city-state in those regions. So we can't relocate into a region like this one over here because we don't own it. All right, so you can only relocate into a region for which you are the owner. All right, so step 1, you do need to own the region that you're trying to relocate to. All right, step 2 is you're going to find the spot where you want to relocate to. So as an example, I've got a bunch of tiles over here. You need to actually own a tile to then relocate to that tile. So you may need to pave, which is something we've talked about in other videos, or essentially capture tiles on your way to a destination and either get rid of or hold on to the tiles that got you there. Most people get rid of them as they go. You would select a tile, as I mentioned, and you're going to smash build. Now, the place that you go to do this, to relocate, must be free of any obstacles. So sure, I can almost certainly relocate here, but as an example, let's go somewhere I could not relocate if the 6 tiles adjacent to where I'm selecting for relocation have an obstruction. Like for example, these tiles have mountains around them. So when I go to build, it tells me, hey, you can't relocate your city here. Unbuildable. Tap to view details. Make sure there are no obstacles on the 7 tiles at the location for construction. So I guess they're including the 6 neighboring tiles and the 1 center tile as well as the 7 tiles. So you can't have an obstruction. I guess it's telling me also, even though you can't own these tiles anyways, you can't build on this mountain tile. Okay, so the 7 tiles, okay, need to be unobstructed, all right? Now, once you have captured the tile, you select the tile, you tap it, you hit the build icon, you hit relocate, okay? You're going to see that you can choose either your capital city or your subcity once you've unlocked it. It'll also show you the cost here. In this case is 50 gold and that it's going to take 2 hours to go and do. And also this is where you'll see that you can reduce that time by relocating within 7 tiles of an alliance city-state. More on this in a bit and when and why you would do that. But if you want the full details around relocation, we've got this menu over here. So you can relocate upon joining an alliance. So it does look like you do need to meet the preconditions of the milestone in the chapter and be in an alliance. When your alliance or nation captures a country town, members of said alliance or nation can relocate regions under county, or I think that's what I said, or county town, county jurisdiction. You can choose to relocate your capital subcities to a one-tile territory you own and make it your new city center. How to relocate, we've already talked about it. There is a 48-hour cooldown. It takes 2 hours to go and do. There can't be obstructions, which we talked about. When relocation is triggered, any deployed armies belonging to the original city will immediately retreat to its new position. There's the area about the nearby regions needing to be clear. Also, for what it's worth, you cannot actively be harvesting or improving the tile that you want to relocate to. After relocation, you select a new place, a new location to place your district buildings that have not been constructed in the city. Anyways, there's a bunch of information here. I won't read all of it to you, but what I do want to talk about is, okay, so Chisco, we understand this way of relocating. Is there another way? And as it turns out, yes, there is. So option 1 is to build. Option 2 is actually to take a barbarian ruin. Now, I talked about this way in depth in a prior video that I had on the channel. I'll have a card for this in the end screen, but there's going to be a limited number of barbarian ruins in a new zone. In fact, I'm just going to get a look around to see if it's even still available here. It looks like people already relocated on top of them, but these barbarian ruins, you can go in, capture, relocate your city for free, which is pretty slick. And yeah, these spots are all going to disappear pretty quickly. After you leave the barbarian ruin, other people can go and claim it. But the big advantage of doing a barbarian ruin instead of a regular relocation, which I was showing you how to do earlier, is that you can improve tiles within a certain radius of your barbarian ruin that you relocate to, which I've done here, for free. On top of, I guess for free is not fair, but it's on top of the maximum number of tiles that you can improve. Okay, so you can improve tiles beyond the normal number you can improve around that barbarian ruin. This is a big deal. This is like a really big deal. This is why I'm so high on the leaderboard right now for production in part. Okay, so that's 2 ways that you would relocate. Number 1, you're going to go and build. Number 2, you could go take a barb ruin, which I covered way in depth in another video. And it is very, very advantageous to go and do so and to then not relocate away from the barbarian ruin. So the next question is, well, like Chisco, when exactly should I relocate then? And if you're going to use a barb ruin to relocate like I did, which I think, I forget how to do this. I think there was a way to tap it and see that it was in fact, a barb ruin. Yeah, see. Barb ruin. It's showing you in the history here. Anyways, if it was a barb ruin, okay, this is a priority spot to go to. They are limited in number, but you get the free improvements, which is massive. So prioritize that if you can. You can only send, however, your capital to one of these barb ruins. So you can't have your subcity and your capital at a barb ruin. Only your capital can go to a barb ruin. If a new zone has a bunch of tiles that are high level, that also is a really good candidate as a sort of time to go and relocate to an area that has like the next tier of tiles available to you. So as an example, when level 9 ruins showed up, that was kind of a big deal. Relocating near those level 9 ruins is a choice that I made and is something you might want to do as well. Now, if you're fighting, you might consider relocating as well. If it is a defensive war, you might want to go to a neighboring zone. Okay? So you might think, wait, Chisco, but weren't you reading the rules? And the rules said that if you were defending a city-state, which is these buildings that are in, blue, wouldn't you want to instead just, let me show you, there's a good spot here. Wouldn't you want to just go in and pour it on top of it? Because it's a 1 hour time instead of a 2 hour time to relocate. And you can see we were defending this, but the area where we relocated was all the way over here. So people relocated within the safety of another area. We built a wall to sort of protect ourselves here, which would be topic for another video. But if you're defending, there's sort of two relocation strategies. One is relocate from safety. The other is that if your city is strong enough, you relocate directly on top of or adjacent to the city-state that you're protecting. And again, there's that radius where instead of it taking 2 hours, it'll only take you 1 hour. Now, the downside of relocating too close to an enemy is that your city can be made into a sort of vassal of the enemy. And then they can use your tiles and you lose out on your alliance production. You're basically kind of like captured, which is not ideal. Okay, so I mention this because going to a neighboring zone if you're defending and fighting a war may be the preferred way to go, okay? Big picture, though, your alliance will tell you, like, hey, go here, go there. Wherever you need to be, your leadership should be dropping markers, as ours did here, for exactly, like, where to go, okay? And if you're attacking a city-state, there's a couple options here. You can't relocate into a zone where you don't control the city-state, so you'll have to be in kind of a neighboring spot. And I think this is the part of the video where I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the alternatives to relocation. So, okay, like what could I do instead of relocating somewhere? And that you actually have several good options that I want to walk through. One of them, money where my mouth is that you will drop down an airport, which when we capture Babylon, which is the center of the map in this first season of the game, you can go to an airport. You basically, the way this works is you capture the tile, you build an airport, and you have a limited number of those that you can build. It's going to take 3 hours, but then you can restation an army there. So I can restation an army here. This you can upgrade to station more armies here. And this is a very solid approach when you're at war with a nearby city-state. So when we took Babylon, this was the play. If you were fighting an enemy, this could also be something that you do. And what you can do at an airport is also train troops in between battles to get more troops into your army. I think the thing that is more common is to send the army back to your city, pull from your militia, and then send the army back to the airport and restation it. That's like, I think, the more common approach here. Another thing you can do instead of relocating your city is building a fort, but you can only build forts in your starting region. I can show this to you. So if I get a look around at a tile here, let's get a look at a tile near my city. That's not my city. Technically, it's my sub-city. Let's go to a tile. So we go over here. And I select one of these tiles, build. You can see I can't build a fort. Not able to build, not in the starting region. So it just tells you forts can only be built in the starting region. Okay. This is an option as an alternative. The other approach is an alliance fort. So an alliance fort is not a building you own, but your alliance owns. And you can restation one army per alliance fort. So if I go into my alliance, I can show you the alliance buildings. Let's see here. Alliance buildings, alliance fort. We currently have 2 of these down. So I could go to these coordinates, confirm, and there's an alliance fort. Just to give you a sense of how this works, I can restation in the alliance fort, all right? You also can join an alliance siege camp. So basically the way this would work is your first army will participate in the rally when you join a siege camp, and after that, you can move it around the map. I think we might still have a siege camp down to be able to show this to you. Let's see. We have 1 siege camp available. It is built. I can confirm. There's the siege camp. Right? So you join the siege camp, participate in the rally, and then after that, you can move around. All right? So you have a lot of options that are alternatives to relocating your city. And just to kind of recap, relocation is really straightforward. Your alliance needs to own the city-state in that county. That lets you relocate to a tile that you own in the county. Okay? Counties are these areas that are under the jurisdiction of a city-state. All right. So I think this would qualify as a county. And you need to have a tile. So an allied tile doesn't count. It's got to be one of your tiles. Okay. But then you can build as long as the 7 tiles are not obstructed. All right. And then you choose what to relocate, be it your capital or your subcity. And chances are you want your capital to be on top of a ruin, which is a free relocation. Okay. Once you've captured it, and has a massive upside for improving tiles. And then your subcity, you could kind of move around. There also is justification if you're getting into a big fight that you might prefer to have your capital in the fight rather than your subcity. This ends up probably being a topic for a separate video, but I think this is probably enough information for an intro guide on how to relocate that it gives you a pretty good idea of what to do. All right. You enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe. This is the regional launch of the game that we're playing right now. So it's available in Asia Pacific, but you can pre-register for some really sweet rewards. I showed all those rewards in the live stream when I got started. So if you want to see me getting started with this account, I'll have a card in the end screen. Consider subscribing. The other card I'll have in the end screen that I think you're going to want to check out is the one about these barbarian ruins. I might be calling them barbarian forts because it's just in my mind, I mix up the terminology all the time. But barbarian ruins are really important. Watch the video. Card will be in the end screen over here. All right. Until next time, you have fun, smash your enemies, and leave your thoughts on relocation down below in the comments. I may have missed a thing or two, so fill in the gaps for me down below. Thank you again to the makers of Civilization, Eras, and Allies for sponsoring this video. Check those cards in the end screen, all right?